If you dare to ask a market woman in Alaba market, or dare to ask a boat driver in Lekki, or even dare to ask a civil servant in Kaduna on whether Nigeria's economy is recovering, hey, my dear, you must get a laughing answer from those three set of people. If you just check online, you will see what Nigeria's professional economists are saying to you. But what you see online is not what we know in reality. There are some Nigerians in particular that are turning their heads and saying to each other that Nigeria as a country has gotten better in describing the same struggle year after year. And in this video, I will discuss three things with you in particular. The inflation miracle that is not steady, the growth is real, but it is not reaching everyone the same way. And the real test, does any of this economy reaches the kitchen table? For the most part of 2024 and early 2025, Nigerians lived through a thorough economic hardship that was hard to explain to anyone who didn't experience it. Now, prices are somehow stagnant even though they are still high. But during that 2024 and 2025 period, prices will just change between the time you left your home and the time you got to the market. That means within seconds or minutes, prices will go up. It will not come down. Inflation was well above 30% at that time, and every trip you take from the keke to the market just to buy garri or fuel just felt like a disaster, most especially when you want to negotiate for garri in particular. Month after month, which was almost a year, Nigeria inflation kept climbing the ladder. By February 2026, which was 4 to 5 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, inflation had dropped to over 15%, which is half of where it stood 2 years earlier. Remember that 2024 inflation that was 30%? Now it is 15%. I see this as one of the biggest drop in Nigeria's inflation history, and some people would say that the central bank's aggressive interest rate hikes alongside with the steady naira has finally paid off. But you and I have to know that Nigeria's economy is not on a straight line. My dear, it is not always like that. Once this year's February was over, it was in March, like March 2026, that inflation began to crawl up, and for the next 3 months of increment, fuel price went high because of Iran and USA war. The inflation really entered transportation in particular. The food was also hit with high fuel price because of the war in particular too. Currently, the fuel and the transportation situation is not funny at all. This is where you and I will have a heart-to-heart talk on whether Nigeria's economy is really recovering, because the talk, it will be long. And also, the 2024 and 2025 economy was just there, not great, but it was just there. Now, the global oil market is showing us that Nigeria's economy recovery is standing on one leg. It has not really won, but it has been paused. And when Nigeria will press the continue button, it will be there that we know that we have a long road and a long journey ahead of us. Nigeria feel the pain of inflation, and the GDP growth is the number politicians love to quote to the Nigerians. When you hear that the economy grew by 3.9% in the first quarter of 2026, it is the GDP growth in particular that they are talking about. This growth isn't spreading across the real life economy. This type of growth will be calculated through the growing service sectors like banking, telecoms, real estate, trade, and top cities where graduates get employed. But the growth does not really flow in terms of the farmer in Benue or the tailor in Onitsha. And that is just the truth. And again, the agriculture and manufacturing sectors are more like the daily life of most Nigerians, and there is a definite struggle in terms of insecurity, poor infrastructure, and the high cost of doing business. That last part, the high cost of doing business in Nigeria, it is poof, like it is mind blowing. Huh. Because only the fuel alone you will buy, it will eat up your profits. I don't want to go into there because that one is another discussion on its own. Anyway, let's continue with the video. When you go to the big cities, it looks wonderful. But the other streets, my oh my, you will see signs and wonders. I am not going to dismiss the growth, which is the 3.9%. I'm not going to dismiss it because that is far better than stagnation. But that small growth explains why so many people here, the economy is growing, and they will respond, how come? From where to where? Or is it not the same country you and I are living in? Questions will be thrown all over the corners because that growth, it is too small, like too small. The question of does any of this reach the kitchen table is a question that matters the most, because when you hear that the inflation has eased a little bit and the Nigeria GDP is growing like that 3.9% growth I mentioned earlier in the video, you will be like, wow, 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 wow. This is wonderful and good news to hear. But good news for Nigeria's economy and good news for a family member or families. Those two are totally different and opposite to each other. Even as the growth was estimated and sold out to the citizens through 2025, the Nigerians swimming in poverty was still high at that time. In an estimation, more than half of Nigeria's population are living in poverty. That population has not gone down till now, despite economists saying that the inflation has reduced on paper. Then when you use your two eyes and look at the wages for most working Nigerians, it can't even dare to catch up in the way prices has gone up, up, up and up. When Nigerians are told that the inflation has reduced, it does not mean things are getting cheaper. It just means that things are getting expensive, but they are getting expensive slowly, like slowly. The woman of the house will be restocking her kitchen with that same salary for 3 solid years, but that salary has not increased at all. In her mind, it will be like, let us just manage. What can I do? Let us just manage. What can I really do? We have the debt question, which does not get discussed at the table, but that alone shapes everything that happens there. A huge part of government revenue is now going towards servicing the debt rather than building the roads, hospitals, and power infrastructure that will actually make the Nigeria economy recover quickly in the eyes of Nigerians. And as of 2027 election that is fast approaching, there is a real risk that government spending will go high, like it will really go high, and we all know that it will go high. Politicians will spend so that they will take at least one seat in the political house in Nigeria. They just want to take one seat, so they will like to spend. So, is it really recovering? If you're asking whether Nigeria's economy is in better shape than it was 2 years ago, it is a big, fat no. And please, let us not argue about it. Inflation, even with its recent fuel problems, is worse than we anticipated. Growth is not the Nigeria growth for me, it is the stagnation. Because Nigeria is not growing and it is not dropping. It is just sitting and just idle. The Naira is stable and I am truly happy about that. I am really, really, really happy. And again, if you are asking whether the average Nigerians have recovered from the bad economy that happened since the beginning of Buhari's time, whether the market woman's cost has actually gone down, whether the graduate job hunt has become easier, whether the farmer's harvest has become more profitable, the honest answer is a big fat no. Again, it is a big fat no. Nigeria's economy isn't a story of it has recovered or it is still broken. It is in the middle of stagnation where the numbers and percentage moves first before the people will move later.